thegearnetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Hey, this is Kip Winger, and you're listening to the All Bets Are Off podcast with Robby Vegas.
What's up, rock soldiers, and welcome back to the All Bets Are Off podcast, and my guest / co-host again.
Oh, baby.
I think they know.
Oh, baby. Oh, yeah, Chazz, sorry.
Guys, this is going to be fun. It's been a while since we just did a good old-fashioned discussion about music. Yes. And we're kind of doing just our own rankings here. This is not coming from anything but our minds.
Well, this is coming from a little peek behind the curtain. About 2 hours ago, you saying, I don't have a podcast.
That's true.
We need to do something.
For this weekend.
So.
And you said, how about Guitarists? I think that's not the first thing you said, though.
I said guitar solos, and then we went into Guitarists.
Yeah. So, these are just our opinions. These aren't a definitive list of anything. We both picked 5. Probably got a few honorable mentions coming. But here's a surprise that I have for you.
What?
Actually, hold that thought. Hold that thought. I got to get to our sponsor first. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you experience digital eye strain?
I do.
Well, let me tell you, that's from too much blue light exposure from digital screens.
Oh.
So our sponsor is Baxter Blue Glasses. They are not your average frames. These blue light lenses filter 80% of the highest energy blue light, eliminating 99% of glare. The past year, we've all been glued to our screens. I know I have, doing this podcast. I've been uploading all kinds of videos for wrestling and music.
You discovered Fortnite.
I discovered Fortnite. Yeah, I did. That's a true story. And our exposure to digital light has been soaring. And our eyes and our sleep are suffering as a result. Baxter Blue is also a force for good and provides a pair of reading glasses for someone in need for every pair sold. So this is eyewear built for our digital age, and Baxter Blue is giving our listeners 10% off your next purchase of blue light, sleep, or kids' glasses. So click the link in our show notes for your exclusive discount, and this is the sign you've been waiting for to invest in blue light glasses. We know you'll love your Baxters, and we know that you'll feel the difference. And now I have a surprise for you.
True story. When you were reading that for the Davey Danger episode, I was like, I'm going to look into these.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to tell our listeners after you do and let them know that our sponsor helped your life.
Well, if I do end up getting them, because I'll probably forget.
Yeah.
But I was like, it sounds like something I could use, honestly.
Well, here's another thing you can use. We're going to have Rob Sweet on the phone.
Oh,
and we're going to get to the bottom of this Stryper wrestler thing.
Yeah, we should.
Because I feel like you're upset about this, and we need some clarity.
He's a liar. So, we'll leave it at that.
Here we go.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Rob Sweet.
Yes, this is him.
Well, listen, you are on the All Bets Are Off podcast again for the second time, but there's some accusations being thrown around right now that we need to clear up.
Oh, accusations. Okay, what this time?
All right, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, and he's going to lay it down for you because he's pretty upset.
Oh.
Well, Robbie claims that you're a professional wrestler, but I only know you as the drummer of Christian metal band Stryper, and I don't believe him when he says you're a wrestler.
Oh, you don't believe him? Well, I mean, what I got to say to that is to hell with the devil, you know what I mean?
Oh, see, now this isn't helping. This isn't helping. I've seen you in concert like 2 or 3 times. You sit sideways when you play. You stare off into the side of the drums. You're into Jesus and God and all that stuff, and you're a pretty good drummer nonetheless. But you're living this double life when we could bring you on the episode as drummer of Stryper, Rob Sweet, but you want to play the wrestling card for Robbie's Mark fans, and it just offends me.
Oh, whoa. Well, you got to understand, you know, I mean, if I were to rest on all my laurels, like, what kind of professional wrestling career would I have? This is the reverse Fozzy, you know? Chris Jericho did not want Fozzy to succeed on him being a wrestler. I cannot have my wrestling career rely on the fact that I am part of the Yellow and Black Attack. You know what I'm saying?
So you're telling me that on the All Bets Are Off podcast, there could be a double life being lived right now under our noses?
Robbie, I'm going to ask you this question, and you just answer this honestly.
All right.
Have you ever seen Robert Sweet from Stryper and Robert Sweet, that your friend, in the same place at the same time?
Oh.
Ever?
I haven't, unless there's some kind of disguise going on here. And if we call Michael and ask if his brother became a wrestler, what would he say?
Well, you can ask friend of the show, Chris Jericho, because they're friends.
Well, see, and you know what? Maybe I'm keeping it such a secret they don't even know. You know, when you want to become a wrestler, you got to learn the art of kayfabe, brother. And you don't. Sometimes you got to keep kayfabe from those closest to you if you want to maintain kayfabe. You know what I'm saying?
I do understand that.
Michael does. Jericho surely doesn't know. I worked him. He's the biggest mark of them all.
I'm going to throw you a curveball question now. You ready for this?
I'm ready for anything.
First name that comes to your head if I asked who your favorite guitarist is, what do you say?
And don't say your brother Michael.
Who my favorite guitarist is? Well, I mean, there's so many to choose from. Ted Nugent. You know, probably Eddie Van Halen.
Good choice.
Those are good choices.
Robbie's definitely a big Ted Nugent fan.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's so many choices. I mean, it's various guitarists. Jimi Hendrix. You gotta say Jimi Hendrix is up there. I mean,
absolutely. The reason why we throw this curveball at you is because you are now at the beginning of a show that is, we're each picking our top 5 favorite guitarists and ranking them and talking about them. So we just threw you a curveball to see if you would say your brother Michael.
You know, I didn't want it. That's called nepotism, and you know, you don't ever want to be accused of that.
Well, honestly, your brother Michael's a sweet guitar player. I wonder if he's on one of our lists. And if you want me to drop this hatred and calling you out for this, just send me a signed Bible, and I'll be all happy.
I feel like we're not any closer to the bottom of the Rob Sweet mystery. We're going to have to dig a little bit more into this in the future.
Listen, you all know what the rock that makes me roll is, and you know, this is to all my soldiers under command out there, and you know, just keep going. You know, Rob just too sweet. We're out there. Wrestling scene, music scene. I love you all.
Honestly, bro. See what I did there?
I see it. I see it. Rob, thanks for coming on, and we will be investigating this further.
I'm always here for you. Let me tell you. For Yahweh, baby.
Let us know if you go on tour. Thanks.
All right, Rob. Thanks, man.
I want a Bible signed.
I'm going to work on it, because I have his number. I just called him.
I do actually have a Bible signed by Stryper.
I know you do.
So now I could, compare notes.
Is it every member of Stryper that signed a Bible?
When I don't remember. I don't think... Well, I think there was a different basis at the time. I think there's a different basis now, isn't there?
I think so, too.
So, but it was Michael, Oz, and him as
yes.
well.
Okay, and him, yes.
Not the band Him.
No, I've seen them, though.
Those are different kinds of
hymns.
Worship.
And just, prayers to Oz Fox, too, because he was battling some heavy-duty medical issues, and he had a really long brain operation.
Yes.
But apparently he's doing okay.
Yes.
So if that's true, then good for you, Oz. We're pulling for you.
A look on the inside real quick. I don't know if any of those two made my top 5 guitarist list, but they might have made my top 5 guitar solos list for certain songs.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I really do appreciate them.
Yeah, they're both great. Both great. Michael always says that he never wanted to be a singer. He wanted to be a guitar player.
He's awesome.
And he's an amazing singer.
Yeah. Well, and he's super underrated guitar player.
Oh, for sure. Well, that's because he's such a good singer.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Everybody, who knows who Michael Sweet is thinks of him as a singer, but he really is a great guitar player.
Yeah.
And which is fitting to segue into our, our guitarist here. By the way, we haven't seen you since before you went to WrestleMania. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was fun. It was socially distanced. There was me and then 4 cardboard people and other people. So I wasn't worried about it. And Florida's a little more relaxed on the mask laws, but I wasn't worried. Everything was so spread apart, and the show was great. Let me tell you something that was a little heartbreaking. Okay. In my opinion. So I'm there. Couple of drinks, nothing too crazy. The first night. Okay. Second night was a little more drunk. I had a ride. It was fine. So I get there about 6 o'clock. Gates open at 4:30. That ended up just being because of COVID procedures, because there was no pre-show, nothing.
Okay.
What you guys saw on the TV was the first match, right?
Gotcha.
So I'm there at 6:30. It's friggin' pouring. So we're all standing in the concourse, all the marks, we're all talking, blah, 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 talking about, Becky Lynch is going to come back, Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, right? The spoiler, none of that happened. So we're talking, and then literally about 10 minutes before the show started, it clears up. It's beautiful. So we sit at our seat. We get to our seats. All the wrestlers come out before everything, and they're looking at the crowd. Like, they're all out there. They're all waving, breaking kayfabe, waving to everybody. They look, everyone's screaming. Like, the wrestlers look like they're crying, some of them.
Wow.
Right? So then you see a video package. Then you see America the Beautiful. Then it happen. And then you see another video package, and Vince McMahon does his speech. And then there's a big video package, and it's like ready, and there's the flyover happens, and then everybody go under the concourse. There's lightning in the area.
Oh yeah,
So
I forgot about that.
So like you had that build up. You're waiting for all those fireworks. You're waiting for the first match, and then we had to go on the concourse for another 40 minutes.
Wow.
I would have rather none of that happened for the next half hour. I would have rather it started at 8:30. Than have all that build up and not even get any of the fireworks. And then go back and hide. And then, honestly, then Drew and Bobby came out and they had a hard-hitting match.
Oh my God, did they?
I thought it was great. And then, the crowd was in shock that Bobby won.
Yeah, well, I was, but I wasn't,
I was surprised.
I thought, and especially the way he won was very definitive.
Yeah.
Like, this is the guy. I know that MVP, quote-unquote, interfered by screaming something, but what was that?
Why does the weird things happen?
Was that one of your cans from
don't
your
know.
alcoholic beverages?
Don't rat me in. No. I don't know. We'll just ignore that.
Okay.
It wasn't a cork, was it?
No, it wasn't a cork.
That's all that I care about. But all in all, the second WrestleMania, I was a little more drunk.
So what you're saying is that you didn't enjoy it as much, or you did?
No, I did enjoy it. Here's the thing. As a 2-night WrestleMania, coming from somebody who's went to 2 WrestleManias before, I went to WrestleMania 23 in Detroit, WrestleMania 24 in Orlando.
Yeah.
Long days. They're even longer now, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
The WrestleMania in New York was insane. So going to this one being over 2 days, as the event, I loved it.
Okay.
I wish they would do it all the time, being 2 days. As visiting Tampa Bay and wanting to enjoy things, having 2 of your days taken up by WrestleMania kind of sucked.
Gotcha.
At the same point.
Gotcha. So it's just a long weekend.
Yeah. So, I didn't get to explore Florida and Tampa Bay as much as I could have.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I wouldn't change it because I didn't want to be there for 9 hours.
Yeah, right.
Right? So, it was cool, and I'm glad that I got to be there, be a part of it, and everybody was happy. It was odd to be in such a big venue and it not being super loud.
Yeah.
Because there's only 22 or 25,000 people there. And easily the most over performer on either show, I don't care what Dave Meltzer tells you, I was trying to say it was Big E. It wasn't.
It was Bad Bunny.
It was Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
By a long shot.
Yeah.
It was Bad Bunny, and it was probably Daniel Bryan.
Oh, really?
Honestly.
Okay.
That's what it was. Bad Bunny, Daniel Bryan, and maybe Edge. Big E was over. He's from Tampa.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of traveling people, too.
Yeah, right.
So it wasn't as, hometown.
It wasn't just a hometown crowd.
And I feel like I know that women's match the first night was a great match. The crowd felt dead to me being there. I don't know why. It wasn't that it was a bad match.
Yeah.
It was after the Bad Bunny match.
Oh, they were just tired.
They were shot. They were really into the Bad Bunny match. Yes, it's a celebrity, but you got to remember, it is Florida, right? And there's a huge Spanish Hispanic population there.
Yes.
In the crowd around me, a bunch of Hispanic people, and just really into Bad Bunny. They love him.
Well, I got to say, out of all the celebrity matches that I've seen, he probably did the best.
Oh, he was great. That match was great.
Yeah, he was excellent.
We're Damian Priest marks.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a big thumbs up for me.
And I'm a big Miz guy.
Yeah.
So,
and I love Morrison.
Yeah, so it was a cool match.
And when Bad Bunny first came on, whatever his first performance was for his Booker T song, I was literally going, who is this?
Right.
And then by the time WrestleMania came, I was like, I love this guy.
Yeah. Well, we're not the demographic.
That's true.
He doesn't reach out to 30-something-year-old metalheads.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
It's the case.
Right. Yeah, because he's a multi-platinum selling artist,
Yeah.
I'm told.
He's one of the biggest artists around.
Right.
Right? So we didn't know him, but as a wrestling fan, he did great.
Yeah.
Him, the best 2 I've ever seen are probably him and Pat McAfee.
For sure.
Who is fantastic on SmackDown now, too.
So he's doing his thing, too. So, let's get back to what we told the crowd here in attendance and the millions watching at home. I'm just kidding. We're not on YouTube this week.
That's right.
That we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite guitarists. Probably some side notes and honorable mentions because as musicians, we can't just pick 5 of anything.
Again, this is favorite, not necessarily best.
Yeah. These are my favorites and your favorites. Yes. I'm not saying they're like the greatest things ever. These are just opinions. My opinions happen to be correct. No, I'm just kidding.
There's your opinions and my facts.
Yeah, right. So are you going to be sharing yours in the ranking that you enjoy them?
I did 5 to 1.
Okay.
I did a 5 to 1.
Okay. Do you think we're going to have any crossover?
Maybe 1.
Okay, I said the same. 1. When I made my list, I thought 1.
Perhaps 1.
Okay.
I doubt... Okay, I'll give it a 50% chance of 1 and 15% chance of 2.
Okay.
That's what I'll give.
Well, right now, I'm going to say, before you give me number 5, we're taking a quick commercial break for some more sponsors. All right, so let's get this thing started. Give me your number 5.
Okay, this one might surprise you, but it might not.
Okay.
He's a guitarist who really shaped the way I write music. And in a certain style that I felt was nearly my own, but now that I get older, it wasn't my own. I totally ripped him off.
Okay.
And the way he plays certain chords, power chords, the way he blends punk music and heavy metal music, and how he can rip a heavy metal solo on top of a punk song, and how he could write a heavy metal hairbandy song and it fits in with the band. Any idea what I'm speaking about?
No.
Okay. So it is Dave from Sum 41.
Really?
So
that surprises me, but continue.
I mean, I have Sum 41 tattooed on me.
Yes, you do.
I'm a big fan
But I guess I wouldn't have thought that would be one of your favorite guitarists, I guess.
Yeah, because I was sitting there and thinking about who was my inspiration, at least two, when I was learning guitar.
Yeah.
Right? And when I was learning guitar, I wasn't, learning Steve Vai. Right? You don't go that route, but he was one of them. Sure, you would think, oh, it's Sum 41, his riffs are easy. Now, on the scale of metal riffs, yeah, they're easier than Metallica riffs, Megadeth riffs, sure. And in terms of punk riffs, they're way more intricate. Yeah. So it's he was that perfect middle ground. You know I love punk music. I love metal music. My band was very punk/metal. Yeah, that's true. And it was I look back and I had so much, he had so much influence on that for me. Learning those songs, Over My Head, and, the songs off of Chuck, and the songs off of the album before Chuck, Does This Look Infected? Okay. The Hell song. Yeah. Songs like that, you think of it, you might think of, All Killer, No Filler, you might think of Fat Lip, right? Mm-hmm. But he had a lot of cool metal riffs, and, I know we're not going to, push in too many songs to cut in, but I do want you to cut in a song. So I'll get you set up for it, right? And will you cut it in at one point? I can't remember the exact name of it off the top. Oh, it's called The Bitter End. The Bitter End. It's on the album Chuck. It's at the end of the song. You would honestly hear this song and think it could be a Metallica guitar solo. Very wah-driven, very heavy song in general. So I did pick him because he was very influential in me, and I think he deserves a little more love. Okay, so we're going to cut that song in right now. And what was it called again? The Bitter End. The Bitter End. Well, who will greet you when you're at the bitter end? Metallica, that whole song is very heavy. So just hopefully any of the musicians out there that are Sum 41, who the fuck cares? Give them a chance. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of their earlier stuff. He got better as they progressed, right? And he left the band and he's back in now, and he's awesome. I love him so. All right, excellent. So that's your number 5. Yeah. That means it's my number 5. Yeah, number 5. You might be a little bit surprised by my list. Okay.
But at the same time, once I start dropping these names, you're going to go, oh no, I knew that.
It's Tyler Hinton.
Yeah. So my number 5 is actually DJ Ashba.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
See? But you wouldn't have thought of it.
No.
Right. So DJ Ashba, to me, I mean, we saw him for the first time live when we were 16. He was playing with the Beautiful Creatures.
You got a man crush right then?
Right then. He threw me his guitar pick from the stage because we were in the front row. And when I caught it, I realized it was melted because he was playing so fast. And right then and there, I was like, I love this guy.
It was also 90 degrees.
It was all, yeah.
To be fair, it was very hot. There was snow.
There was snow. It was Snow Jam, they called it.
Yep.
But Beautiful Creatures was a great band. He wasn't in it past that first record.
That's why it's the only good record.
That's why it's their only good record, exactly. But he also has a great, like, who's who of albums that he's played on, and being a studio musician, too. But he first broke in 1995 with Addiction to the Friction. And, like, just himself, just DJ Ashba. Then he's in The Beautiful Creatures. Then he's in Guns N' Roses. Then he's in 6am. Like, the guy does absolutely everything. He's played on Drowning Pool albums. Like, he plays on Neil Diamond's Christmas album. Like, the dude just plays on everybody's record.
Well, to be in Guns N' Roses is a big deal.
It is. It's huge.
It's a big deal. They don't put in, the worst guitar player in Guns N' Roses is probably Slash.
Right.
In the history, right?
Right. And Slash is good. Yeah.
So it's just like, DJ and Slash actually is very similar. He was a good replacement.
I think I would have enjoyed seeing DJ and Slash both being Guns at the same time. I don't think we'll ever see that.
You got to see Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot's awesome.
He's great too. But I mean, even Izzy Stradlin was great.
Yeah.
I mean, since we're talking about guitar players, right? Like, they were all fantastic. And Izzy did a lot of stuff that people give Slash credit for.
Yeah.
But I think that guitarists can tell the difference between Izzy and Slash. But
I got to see Slash.
You did, I did.
Yeah, with Richard Ford.
Oh, I take that back. I did see Slash with Velvet Revolver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I did not see him with Guns N' Roses. I saw DJ Ashba with Guns N' Roses. But he had to go on my list. He's inspired me since I was 15, 16 years old. I think he's awesome. Got to meet him once, and he's just a cool dude. And 6am is an awesome band. I love listening to them.
I kind of forgot about them until you mentioned them. They're great. I loved those first couple albums.
To be honest, I saw him in Beautiful Creatures, 6am, and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen him in every single band.
You're a mark.
I am a mark.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm not surprised you picked it. I know you're big into him. It's funny, though. I did forget that he was in 6am. I was thinking Guns N' Roses. I was thinking Beautiful Creatures.
Yeah. He flies under the radar. Yeah, they're great.
That first 6am album, whenever that was, 2007?
Yeah, the Heroin Diaries. Yeah.
This is fucking one of the best albums of that time.
I agree. I totally agree. And it still holds up. And
it's really good.
Their first single off the next album, Lies of the Beautiful People, is a great song. Mm-hmm. But DJ flies under the radar, and a lot of people don't know him by name. You might have seen him if you watched the show on whatever channel, The Tanked, where they make the crazy fish tanks or whatever.
Oh, was he on that?
Yeah, a bunch of times, because he's a graphic designer. So he's designed a lot of the stuff that goes in those tanks. So cool. If you've seen that, he's on that. But, like, again, flies under the radar. He's also a producer and, like, does all kinds of cool stuff in the music world.
Jay Gordon look going on.
Yeah, he did for a while.
Yeah.
He's got that, like, real
not
pretty
friend
boy.
Of the show,
not friend of the show. Still waiting for that interview.
I didn't mean to call you out, Jay Gordon. No, I did.
Long story.
I meant to call you out, Jay Gordon.
But anyways, why don't we get to your number 4?
All right, number 4 is one that could be a crossover.
All right.
And that would be a guy who gets a lot of shit from the 80s scene as being a shitty guitar player. And, he's such a shitty guitar player. This band sucks. There's no good musicians. Blah, 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 blah. And we saw him a couple years ago and fucking was the best I've ever seen him out of the times I've seen him. And you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
And that would be one Mr. C.C. DeVille from Poison.
I knew you were going there because he's also my number 4.
Okay, so we can dual talk here.
Yes.
CC to me, I guess that's a different. Maybe Dave from Sum 41 is this, but like, you know how so many people love Ace Frehley, worship him, and they know he's not really that good, but they still love him. They love the way he plays, and they'll be like, "Oh, he's sloppy, but I love it."
Yes,
that's CC.
Oh, absolutely.
He's the same way. He's not fantastic. He's not fucking Yngwie. He's not, he's not Nuno. But, like, he's sloppy, and it works. And it makes it feel approachable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hear a CC solo and go, well, I'm never going to touch that. It's approachable.
Well, the cool thing about CC, though, is I get what you're saying about how it's not, like, quote-unquote, too difficult, but sometimes it is.
Yes.
And, like, you do go to tackle those ones that you're like, oh, I love this. Like, let's just say Nothing But a Good Time or, like, Fallen Angel, for just 2 quick examples off the top of my head. Like, when he breaks into those solos, at first, you can jam along with them, yeah. But then once he gets cooking, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, he is awesome. And it takes work to sound like CeCe, and a lot of people, like you said, are going to say, nah. But honest to God, I do agree. When was that? 3 years ago that we saw him?
18 or 19.
Yeah.
Oh my
and
God.
He was just phenomenal. And I don't think he's ever sounded better. And we've seen him 15 times.
And he stole the show.
He did. He really did. That was CeCe's concert.
Yeah. And even, everyone with my brother, everyone was like, whoa, what happened to him?
Yeah.
Maybe he's completely sober. Now, I'm a big mark for his solo album, Samantha 7.
Yes, yeah.
That's the most played album on my Spotify.
Is it really?
I love that album so much, and I have the CD. Mm-hmm. I cover a few of the songs, and yeah, it's not per se hard rock, but even in his I guess that's considered almost power pop, but his solos in that are fantastic too.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of soul to him.
Yes.
And he's really good with crying and making the guitar cry.
Yeah.
He's really good with that, which is something that is not easy to evoke.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's really not. And he has a lot. He's one of those guys that's a jack of all trades, a master of none. He can play a lot of different styles. On the scale of 1 to 10, he plays a lot of these styles at a 7.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A bluesy style, an acoustic style.
Right.
But he's pretty damn good at all of them.
I agree. I totally agree.
So no, he's not a virtuoso. There is more virtuosos on my list. You already probably know my number one. But he is so approachable to the ear and to the mind of learning, and super underrated, and gets a lot of shit, and it's not deserved.
I totally agree with all of that. I mean, and I think when I write on my electric, I hear a lot of CeCe in my rhythms in the way that I write, because Poison's such a big deal to me.
See, I feel there's a lot of rhythms with my last pick, Dave Brown sound, I think he went by. And then CeCe is I solo like CeCe.
Yeah.
Because it's sloppy.
Yeah. But it fits and it sounds good.
Yeah, and I'm sloppy. I'm not completely tight.
I mean, I think some of the greatest guitarists in history were sloppy. I think Jimmy Page is sloppy. I think that Jimi Hendrix could even be a little sloppy.
I don't think Jimmy Page is one of the greatest guitar players in history.
I mean, I don't either, but a lot of people say that.
Jimi Hendrix is sloppy, but yeah. But it's fucked up all the time.
Yeah, well, it's a controlled sloppiness, too.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
He was a master of the strings.
For sure.
Yeah. He's just fucked up all the time.
I read somewhere that if he ever hit a wrong note, you wouldn't know it, because he would bend the shit out of the string until it sounded like it fit.
Till he found it?
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, smart, isn't it? Ahead of his time, But anyway, so we both had CeCe at number 4. So give me your number 3.
All right, I'll give you my number 3. Ready?
You just poured your drink on my table before it went in your cup.
I'm taking a pee right now. Okay. All right, my number 3. Going back to the childhood. I'm wiping up the spill, folks. Don't worry about it. Going back to the childhood. To quote Kiss, back to the Stone Age. So this is a band that I got into right off the bat. Right, second album on, I got into this band. They became one of the biggest bands in the entire world for a while here. And there's not a much bigger band from our late teenage years on in the metal scene than this band. But their dual guitar attack, led by my pick of Sinister Gates of Avenged Sevenfold. He is so fantastic, you don't even get it. Because unless you listen to him in some of the deeper cuts where they let him go off, he's putting out songs in 2005, which is 2005 was the end of nu metal, the start of the emo scene. And you don't think of epic guitar players, right?
Right.
He's putting out songs then on those albums on Weekend the Falling that has 3-4 minute guitar solos, which doesn't equate to that time frame. A lot of people look at them as an emo band, and that's fine. But he's not an emo band, a guitar player. He's fantastic, and and Zach Vengeance is great too, because they do a lot of dual leads together. But at the time where guitar was almost dead, they were pushing it forward and giving us younger guitar players a chance. Yes, there was other bands, Trivium, Children of Bodom, stuff like that.
Those
right?
are great picks, too.
But these were... Avenged Sevenfold got mainstream.
Yeah, for sure.
And got big.
Sure.
And they doubled down on the metal.
Now, I was never super into Avenged. I'm still not. I think I saw them live just because they were playing with other bands that I wanted to. But they are extremely talented guys, whether or not like you're into that or not, because guitar was like a lost art form for a long time. After the 80s hair metal scene, I feel like nobody really gave a shit about guitar solos for a long time.
Because your boys in the grunge scene ruined it.
They killed it.
You could thank them.
But then it went right from that to like the new metal guys, who also weren't really huge on doing guitar solos.
Not solos, but at least guitar came back.
Right, it did come back.
Right,
because the new metal guys, they came up with some creative, funky, cool, heavy shit
with riffage where you don't think of like Pearl Jam riffs.
Right, exactly. So I guess in that sense, the evolution would bring it back around to when Avenged Sevenfold and bands like that started coming back, because then you started to see bands like Godsmack start doing more solos on their later albums, and it kind of started coming back around to like, hey, let's show these people that we can fucking jam.
You know, Avenged took it to that next step of like popularity.
Yeah.
And they didn't drop off. You know, they kept with the guitar solos. Like, you know, you hear most people talk about, you know, guitar players or the bands they like and blah, blah, blah. And they'll be like, oh, well, their older stuff is better. They always say that stuff. Where Avenged Sevenfold's first album's probably their worst album.
Okay.
You know, and then, like, they got better. And they unleashed him more. Mm-hmm. And he is so good. Here's a little known fact about Sinister Gates. His father is actually a kind of famous guitar player.
Really?
His father, this is going to make you laugh if you've ever seen it, his father is the guy that plays guitar with Jeff Dunham.
No way.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yep.
How did you find that out? That's crazy.
Just because I'm a fan of him.
Yeah,
like, it came up. So, his father's the guitar guy.
No shit.
For Jeff Dunham. So, obviously, he came from a musical family.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And so this song wasn't on an album per se. It's a single, and it was featured on Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, at the end of this game, they were in it. I never played the game. I can't play first-person shooters. They literally make me dizzy.
Yeah, I know.
So, like, I don't play... So, come at me, bros. But, so, at the end of the game, I remember my friend was losing his mind. They're in the game as, like, characters at the end of the game playing, like, a show for, like, the soldiers or something like that. So, that was pretty cool. But the song on that album the song on that game called Carry On, it will blow your mind. It's insane. He's so good. It's 2012, so the guy's my age. So in 2012, I was, 26? So he's still pretty young at 26.
Right, yeah.
And he's breaking in at 21.
Right.
22, being super talented. So 26, I mean, he's right in... Melting Faces. Dual guitar solos, kind of like, I'm going to say Stryper, yeah?
Yeah.
Because they're like, and Maiden.
Okay.
There's a little difference between like dual guitar solos like Thin Lizzy and dual guitar solos like Maiden.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
So like, did that surprise you that he's in my list?
Yeah, it does, actually. Like, so far, the only one I saw coming was CC. I honest to God, I wouldn't have guessed the other two.
Yeah, I'm surprised you wouldn't have guessed Sinister, but I'm not into them as much, anymore.
Yeah.
It's a big part of my childhood.
Okay.
Like, if I was getting tattoos at a young age, I'd probably have an Avenged Sevenfold tattoo. I just don't right now. Because they got away from me.
Yeah.
They released an album 2013 with, like, that really broke them with, like, Hail to the King.
Yeah.
And all that shit. And then, like, I just kind of don't like much after that.
Yeah.
That's almost 10 years ago.
I mean, I never was into them, so I can't say much about it. I've seen them live. I thought they put on a good show, and they were talented guys, but just the music doesn't do it for me. It's not my scene.
And I was saying it before. I think it got cut off. How talented they are is that when they were recording Nightmare in 2009 or 10, and the drummer died, they had to replace him with Mike Portnoy.
Yes, you did say that. Yeah.
So and
I didn't even know that the original drummer had passed away.
Yeah,
that's
he passed
how out of the
away
loop
when
I was.
He was 23.
Oh wow,
super young. Maybe he was like 25, but like super young. And I don't remember what it was. I think it was Natural. Mm-hmm. And he's so good they had to place him with Mike Portnoy, who was like his idol.
Yeah, right.
And like Mike Portnoy does that tour with them. Then gets big-headed and realizes that, like, people love him. Yeah. And then that's when he quits Dream Theater, loses weight, does his thing, and one of the biggest rock and roll stars in the world right now is, like, Mike Portnoy, right?
I mean, he was always fantastic.
Oh, God. He's more, like, the nerdy side of life.
Yeah.
And compared with him, like, John Petrucci from that man, like, insane guitar, like schooled, like they met at music school, music college, all Dream Theater. That's where they met.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like they're just like the uber nerds, and they were nerdy. Like Mike Portnoy looks like a cool like rock dude now, but like watch some of his like 1995 performances.
I know.
Man,
I love Fatal Tragedy from Dream Theater, by the way.
I like
love
Dream
that song.
Theater,
Yeah.
but
they are nerds.
it's like a dose, a certain dose.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a lot.
They'll have great songs, and they'll have their 19-minute songs with a 17-minute piano solo.
Right. All right, I'm going to give you my number 3.
Okay.
Any guesses?
Well, you didn't give me any information. I'm dropping information before I say the names.
Well, I mean, if I'd said anything, you would know. He was on the show.
Friend of the show?
Friend of the show.
Is it Bruce?
It is Bruce Kulick.
Bruce just missed my list.
Did he really?
Bruce just missed my
Okay,
list.
so Bruce is my number 3. I can't say enough good things about Bruce, especially on, for me anyways, Asylum and Revenge. Those are 2 albums that every time you're on, we talk about all the time. And I don't even know what song to tell people to listen to, because I'm like, just grab Asylum and grab Revenge.
Or Carnival of Souls.
Carnival of
or
Souls.
Live 3.
And I'll tell you this, Live 3 might be the one.
Yeah,
it might be the one.
Might be.
And that took songs that weren't as heavy and made them fucking rock, man. Like, even Creatures was heavier.
Yep.
That's the best version of Lick It Up.
The best version of I Was Made for Loving You.
Absolutely. Best version of, I think, Forever. I really love the live version of that.
Right.
Like, Bruce is just, he's so good. He's so clean. He's crisp. You can tell he knows what he's doing. He's seasoned. He's not one of those guys like we were talking about with CC who, like, it's sloppy, but it's real good.
Yeah.
Like, Bruce is super clean.
Yes.
But he can also shred and be a metal guitarist, or he can give you a real sweet ballad, like Forever.
Yeah.
And give you that solo, or like Every Time I Look at You, or like
Forever solo is beautiful.
It's probably one of my favorite solos of all time.
A lot of his stuff. Tears Are Falling.
Yeah.
Fantastic guitar.
Listen to him play, King of the Mountain, or like Heart of Chrome. And I'm not even just talking about his solos at this point. Just listen to him play the song.
Well, don't forget that could be confusing with Paul. Paul's
That's true,
a super underrated guitar.
Rated under.
Yes.
KO.
Yes. He's very underrated. Paul is a very underrated guitar.
Paul is too, because he's like Michael Sweet.
Yeah.
He's the front man, so people don't associate him with the guitar. But Paul writes a lot of great stuff, and he's very good. But
Paul plays the solo to a few songs you don't even realize.
He does, yeah.
So, but we're talking about Bruce. Here's a good Bruce thing. If you really want to see Bruce get nutty, maybe on the lines of like Eddie Van Halen stuff, listen to No No No.
Yes,
That whole beginning is like Eruption,
for sure.
Which I used to call Eruption Erection.
Really?
By mistake.
A
lot.
So you actually thought that it was called that, or you just were?
I think I just said it wrong because I was probably having an erection because I was a teenager.
Yeah, right.
But I did used to call it erection. Oh. But Bruce, Bruce just missed my list. Absolutely. He's my favorite. Well, I guess it's a spoiler. There's no Kiss guitar player on my list.
None. Okay.
Because Bruce would be the one.
The one, yeah.
He would be the one.
My opinion, he is the best guitarist that Kiss ever had.
Yes.
Ever.
I agree. He's a really nice guy. I met him.
I talked to him twice on the show.
We get it. No, but he's a nice guy. I met him in Indy at the Kiss Expo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He signed a few things for me. I met Bob, too. Rest in peace, his brother Bob.
Yeah.
Bob's a great guitar player, too.
Bob was the one they wanted. And
he just didn't have long hair.
Yeah.
They said he didn't have long hair, and he wasn't tall enough.
He was also going on tour with somebody else at the time and suggested Bruce.
Yes.
And that's how they met Bruce. But, I mean, Bruce was in Kiss for forever.
Was that a...
Yeah, it was forever.
Did I see what you did there? He was in Kiss from 84 to 96.
Yeah, that's a long time.
12 years.
I mean, if you think about
That's longer than Ace.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at. And, Eric Singer's their longest drummer.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But I can't say enough good things about Bruce, so just listen to anything that Bruce is on, really.
Throw out Asylum or Revenge, you're right. Even though No 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 is on Crazy Nights, but that's more of his, like, mealy.
Yeah.
Because that whole intro is just guitar.
And also, I mean, just to throw out there, I'm not trying to take away from, like, Vinnie Vincent was great, and, everybody loves Ace.
Vinnie Vincent was better outside of Kiss.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
He really was.
Bruce Kulick currently still plays for Grand Funk Railroad, who is also a legendary rock band, and he's doing his thing over there, too, because he's just a good guitar player. He's going to have a job always. Yeah. That's my number 3.
That was it? Well, I'm not surprised that was on there, because he's great. He almost made my list, so...
All right. So we're getting into our top 2 each here.
Top 2 each. So, and there's mind you, folks, a lot of people will say, we don't have Eddie Van Halen yet. We don't have Jimmy Page yet.
Yep.
There's no Jimi Hendrix yet.
Right.
So we have different opinions, and that's okay.
And Rob Sweet did drop Jimi Hendrix,
Yes, he
to
did.
be fair, so he's...
Well, he started drumming for Stryper like 83, so he's got to be like 60.
Listen, I'll tell you, too, there's going to be a lot of guitarists that we both love that we're not going to talk
Oh,
about.
God, I got tons.
I'm just saying. So, I love Jimi Hendrix, but, I mean, spoiler, he's not on my list.
Well, it's just the thing. It's just like they're a little too old. And I don't mean as... They're just... Yes, they were good in the 60s and 70s, but things got progressively more intricate, more heavy, whatever you want to say.
I mean, I think John Lennon and George Harrison are great guitar players, but are they on my list? No.
They don't sound good until you sit there and try to learn some of the shit.
Yeah, right.
They're more like guitar players,
Yes.
guitarists,
Yes,
right?
yes,
like,
yeah.
where like, you know, yeah, like Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen, I'll give him love, was the birth of insanity.
Yes.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
truly, he was.
sure.
Like, yes, before him, the guys in Thin Lizzy are great. Ace Frehley's great. Jimmy Page is great. But Eddie Van Halen brought in the insanity.
Yeah, he brought in the taps and the whammy bars and the...
To at least, you know, the mainstream.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So, like, you know, you're not going to find it on the list just because it's fine. It's like Angus Young.
Right.
You know,
Agreed.
it's just fine. It's just guitarists just got at least, I don't know if flashier is the word. Everybody in the 80s is a good guitar player.
Absolutely.
Right? It's
Absolutely.
like-
There's never been a decade or an era or a generation of music that had as many amazing guitarists as the 80s did.
Yes.
Never.
And that's because of those 70s guys.
Absolutely.
But
Joe Perry, you know, inspired a lot of those guys.
yep,
And,
Ace,
you know,
Eddie, you know,
So-
Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck.
yeah.
It's just before our time. We were born in the mid-80s. You know, you picked
Yeah.
an 80s Kiss member.
I did.
Right?
I
Like,
did.
it's just, that's where it is coming from. So don't come at me, bro.
Well, hit me
Come
with your
at
number
Rob
2.
Sweet.
Hit me with your number 2.
You might expect this on my list. This guy was coming up in that 2005 time as guitarist was dead, and he was one of the only shred guitar players. He was also in... He was the original person to replace Slash in Guns N' Roses.
You talking about Buckethead?
I am talking about Buckethead.
Really? Is your number 2?
That is my...
Okay.
That guy... Buckethead almost made me quit playing guitar. Because he's just too good. He's just too good. And he is so, like... He could be swapped for my number 1, but he's not going to be. But he's so, like... a lot of people think of Buckethead, they'll think of, like, the song Jordan, which is just absolute insanity.
Okay.
It is. And just... I'll tell you, you'll never be able to play it. I'll never be able to play it.
We used to listen to him a lot when we found out who replaced Slash. I remember back in the day.
It's just insane.
Yeah.
He's so good. Now, the reason he's so good, and that also helps with my number 1 pick, is the man is huge. He's like 6'6".
Yeah, he's a big dude.
So,
Yeah.
like, his fingers can seriously, like, we literally could not play what he plays.
He's got some reach.
We can't make
Yeah.
those reach. He is so fast, so technical. But, and I do want you to listen to this at some point. The song that really sticks out for me is called "Soothsayer,"
Okay.
and if you know Buckethead, people at home, you know it. It is just slow and gorgeous and soulful and beautiful and makes the guitar cry. But it's like power ballady, and he fucking melts it at the end. Like, insane, but still with heart. And it's like, I guess it was a song he dedicated to his aunt passing away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was like, bro, like, it's so gorgeous. And it's like, yeah, he's gimmicky because of the mask and the
Yeah.
bucket on his head. And, like, he's so much more than that. And he has such a dedicated following of, like, fans. Like, when he comes anywhere, it's sold out.
You know what? I did notice that because he has come near here before and immediately
It's
gone.
I got so lucky I got to see him a couple years ago. And I've seen him before.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
like, then he got sick. He got real sick.
I heard that.
But I guess he bounced back, and
Okay.
he's doing good. So, like, I almost thought it was the last time I was going to see him.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's and when he comes, he's a little different because of the new technology nowadays. When he comes with just this little box. The box does all his backing tracks.
Okay.
And he just plays guitar.
See, when I saw Virus from Dope a few weeks ago, and you know, when I did the interview with him and he came about an hour from where we are right now, that's how he did it.
Yeah.
It had an entire band.
Yep.
And he just played alone.
That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And he's been doing that. The first time I probably seen him was 2010. and he's been doing it since then.
So
like,
he's probably been doing it well before other people,
Yeah.
because that's pretty, like, recent stuff.
and he's always funny. He always has, like, he'll play, and then all of a sudden he brings out this bag, and he hands out, like, dollar store toys to fans. But he's so, like, he plays his gimmick, man. He just does it really slow and hands it out
The
to
Michael
people.
Myers.
Yeah, he does his gimmick, and he is so, and he lives that gimmick. Like, do you know what he looks like?
No.
Right? Like, I'm sure there's pictures, but he lives that gimmick, and like, it's cool. That's like old school wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
He's keeping kayfabe.
Old school
and
Kiss.
That's what, sells sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to know what the guys in Steel Panther look like when they're not all fucking dressed up in their 80s shit, you know what I
Sure,
mean?
they look like old 80s women. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, no, that's what they look like with makeup.
Yeah, right. Well, let me give you my number 2.
All right.
So my number 2, I got to see live multiple times, but only one time was on a solo tour. This is Nita Strauss.
Oh, wow.
I fucking love Nita Strauss. I met her. She was so awesome. Such a friendly person. Got to talk to her about a bunch of stuff, including wrestling, because she's a huge wrestling fan.
Obviously.
Yeah, you guys, anybody listening to this who doesn't know some of the people we're talking about, you know Nita because she's played on NXT, twice?
WrestleMania.
Right? No, was it? No, it was night before, wasn't it? She played for NXT.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, she did Shinsuke coming out.
On NXT.
No, it was maybe it wasn't WrestleMania, but it was a pay-per-view.
Yeah, well, either way, she's played on the main and
Shinsuke's been in the main roster for 6 years.
But she's played on NXT and the main roster, I know that.
Yeah, she's definitely in the main roster.
Seeing her play live, it was really cool because her solo record that came out a year or two ago is all instrumental. There's no lyrics. So it's just her shredding and playing cool riffs and fucking badass solos. So seeing her live, I was like, I wonder what this is going to be like. And she fucking rocked it. And obviously she's Alice Cooper's guitar player.
Yeah, I've seen her a few times with Cooper.
Yeah, I saw her once with Alice, and I saw her by herself. And she did 18 by Alice Cooper, and her keyboardist, who's Kat Scarlett, who also plays in Femme Fatale, sang it.
Okay.
And it was really good, but that was the only vocals in the entire night. It was 45 minutes of just shredding guitar.
That's like a Buckethead concert. Yeah. Zero vocals.
It was amazing. And I'll tell you, she blew my mind. And she had to be on my list. So this is one of the people that I have to say, if you're going to check out a song to just hear her shred, from her solo record, I would say either Our Most Desperate Hour or Pandemonium. Both of those are just incredible.
That's a wrestling word.
Yeah. And, her boyfriend, Josh, is her drummer, and I met him, too, and I thought it was hilarious because during the show, I was with our buddy, Rob.
Not Sweet.
Oh,
he's on tour.
Yes, he was on tour. And we're looking at Josh, and finally he turns to me and he goes, is he wearing a Bam Bam Bigelow jersey? And I was like, that's what it is. And sure enough, that's what he had on. So they're huge wrestling fans, so that was cool. But yeah, Nita is like one of a kind. And it's funny, too, because in the talk of like who the greatest guitar players are, you don't hear about a lot of women. And it's cool now to start to see like Nita Strauss is out there and Nikki Stringfield, and like I'll even throw Lita Ford out there just because she was like a pioneer in the 80s metal scene.
Well, Nita actually replaced a female guitar player, Oriana.
Yes.
Who she left to go join Michael Jackson's final tour, and then he died.
Yeah.
So she's great too. Here's the thing about Nita Strauss. And unfortunately, it's true, and you guys can at me. I'm not being sexist here. Sometimes you get a female in a band playing instruments. It turns into almost a gimmick.
Yes.
It can turn into almost a gimmick.
And I think that's kind of where it was going, because I think Alice wanted to replace a female with a female for that reason.
But Orianthi and Nita, they're not gimmicks.
Right. They're fucking awesome.
Yes. And it's not a gimmick. She's fan-fucking-tastic.
Absolutely.
She shreds better than anyone else on my list right now other than Buckethead almost.
Yeah.
Right? And she does. And, that's gender bias.
Yeah.
She's not a gimmick.
No, not at all.
She's fantastic. She seems to be a really cool person.
Yeah.
She has good taste. She likes wrestling.
Yes.
She did like you when you guys met, so maybe she doesn't have good taste.
She liked me, and she even took the picture herself. She took the selfie that I have of us.
This is because you're a wrestler, and she's going to use you because she's a mark.
I was the... Oh, shit. I'm wearing my Nita Strauss t-shirt.
Do we call female marks?
I don't know. Marquettes?
But she's definitely not a gimmick.
I did not plan to wear the shirt, by the way. This just
when we talked about Kitty before, Kitty was kind of gimmicky.
Yes, it was.
Right?
It was.
And it was, and say how Coal Chamber kept replacing their bass player with another female. It was a little gimmicky.
Yeah,
but that's not Nita Strauss.
No. She is just fantastic, top to bottom. Seeing her play live was just mind-blowing. And I got up real close to the stage at one point. I just pushed my way through for the last few songs just to really get a look at her playing. And I can't even, like, fathom what my eyes saw. Like, she's so good. She's so fast. But again, kind of like I said about Bruce, clean. There's no sloppiness to Nita. She's very clean, very fast. If it sounds sloppy, she wants it to. There's no in between. Like, she knows exactly what she's doing at all times.
Yeah, I'm a little jelly I didn't go to that show. I don't even think I knew about it.
I mean, it was at a smaller venue, so it wasn't like, you know, when she comes with Alice.
Was that at Ironworks?
It was, yeah.
That's the last place I saw Buckethead.
That's where Fozzie's coming. Shout out friend of the show, Chris
Oh,
Cherry.
I already bought tickets.
You did.
Ironworks or Riverworks?
Ironworks.
Oh, the last show I saw him was at Riverworks.
Oh, was it really?
No, that's a lie. That was when I got canceled.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Because of COVID.
I know who your number one is, by the way, so
Yeah, I know
if you want to
who
go
my
throw
number
that
one
out.
I know you know who my number one is. But, like, before we hit number one, I mean, a couple of just random people that didn't make my list was Bruce.
Okay.
Obviously. And then Paul Stanley, obviously.
Yes.
I've recently got into the twin guitar attack from Thin Lizzy, too.
Okay.
And John Sykes being a part of that.
Okay.
You always got to throw in, like, Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, right? One that I actually replaced with Buckethead was Yngwie Malmsteen.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of his, but, like, I just do, like, these guys just show a little more of my personality. And one that's very he might be considered overrated or underrated. He's super popular, but he's super fantastic. And anything he touches is Zakk Wylde.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zakk Wylde is awesome.
Well, let me give a few of my honorable mentions, too, and then we'll both drop our number ones. Warren DeMartini almost made my list. He, to me, is always going to be underrated. I know that Rat was, like, one of the bands that broke the hair metal scene, and they were headlining and touring, and, like, people forget how big Rat actually was, but Warren is really, really fucking good.
The problem with Warren DeMartini is he is in the 80s, and almost every other guitar player is better than him.
It's
like, seriously,
and it's a
George Lynch.
I don't want George
the
Lynch
guys
is
from
great.
Stryper,
and I don't want to say it's a
right?
shame because it's not. It was just an era where guitar playing was just the biggest. If you were a great guitar player, you were almost, if not sometimes bigger than the lead singer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think Extreme, White Lion.
I mean, I think Mick Mars is underrated.
Yes.
But for the time period, Mick Mars had a lot of competition.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, he was also older than all of us.
He was by like 12 years.
He should have been in the time of like Jimmy Page.
Yes,
and stuff,
yes, absolutely. Another honorable mention and also congratulations, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Randy Rhoads. He was just put in recently, last week.
He was put in as like himself.
Yes.
As just his contribution.
Yes, and I think that's cool.
Which, by the way, Ozzy isn't in as a solo artist.
Hey, and Iron Maiden didn't make it, but Jay-Z did. But anyways.
And the Go-Go's.
I also put Ace Frehley on my honorable mentions because Tina Turner's on my honorable mentions?
No, she's in that.
Oh, okay. Ace Frehley is on my honorable mentions because he almost made the list just because he's the first guitar player that I loved. He's the first guitar player that made me go, I want to play guitar. But I couldn't justify putting him in my top 5 with the people that were in my top 5.
So I remember you as a kid playing Ace, but I don't know if he's your number one. I don't think he is, but Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent's my other honorable mention.
Okay, because I remember you playing him a lot.
I loved Ted Nugent. And I still love Ted Nugent. And if you're going to get shitty with me because you don't agree with his politics, fuck you, turn this off. Because Ted Nugent is a great guitar player.
We're not talking politics.
We're not. I don't give a fuck what his political views are. That dude can fucking jam.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, tell me when you hear Stranglehold, you're not like, yeah. The second you hear that first note, like, I still love Ted Nugent. And honest to God, like, it was tough for me not to put him in my top 5, but I had such good reasons for putting the other guys in that it was like, can I really do it? So if I had a top 10, of course he'd be in it. But all these guys would that I'm doing the honorable mentions for. But I really love Ted Nugent, and it was tough for me not to put him in there.
Yeah,
so,
I'm surprised he's not in your top.
I used to listen to him constantly.
Oh, you did.
But
you did. So we all know my number one is
Paul Gilbert.
Well, he's the guy that reinvented guitar for me. He's the guy that, like, got me back into guitar. Because he's the guy that made me take guitar more seriously. Because I started playing guitar well after you.
Yeah.
Well after you. I probably really started playing guitar. You started playing in, like, 94. I probably started playing guitar in 2004.
93, yeah.
Right?
So,
like,
93.
Way after you. Mm-hmm. You helped me learn some things. Like, at the get-go and everything. Because then your dad and everything. And I just never took it seriously. And then, like, I started learning, like I said, the CC stuff, the Dave Brown sound stuff from the punk stuff. And I started learning the metal stuff.
Yeah.
And Paul Gilbert, I've mentioned before, that I never was a huge Mr. Big fan growing up, but I never like listened to Paul Gilbert.
Oh my God! Like even aside from Mr. Big, even Racer X.
Oh, Racer X was what broke it.
Oh, okay.
Because
I didn't know they were the same guy for the longest time.
well, he's so different in Mr.
Yeah.
Big, right? So when he came out with the Racer X stuff in the 80s, it sounds like trash. I don't mean his playing. The recordings suck.
Yes.
You listen to it now, it still sounds like ass. 2001, 2002, 2003, he came back with Racer X.
Yeah.
And at that time, I'm 15, 16, 17, right? And like, I think I delved into it a little later, actually. Maybe when I was like 20.
Yeah.
He came... So those Racer X albums in the 2000s are just... They sound incredible.
Yeah, they do.
He's incredible. And it opened up my eyes to him. You want to talk about, like... You were talking about Nina Strauss being, like, perfection. I have seen Paul Gilbert a few times. I've seen so many live things. He tries to do a lot on YouTube. I don't think I've ever seen him make a mistake. And with the shit he does and the speed that he can do... Now, he doesn't rely ever on, like, sweep picking and too many taps, which are, like, easier shred techniques. They're still hard.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But, like, they're on the easier scale. No. He just fucking brings the speed and brings it. And, like, he's so precise. And he's so, like... He's got a lot of soul to him. And then when he started making the venture... He's huge in Japan, so he's got a lot of like poppy music from Japan. But then he started to turn the corner and do, which he never did until like 2007, like the instrumental guitar rock music. That's it. I was done.
Can I tell you that the intro that he does for Green Tinted 60s Mind by Mr. Big is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And maybe people who don't play guitar listening to that wouldn't think anything of it.
Right.
But it is insanely difficult. And it's taps, finger picking, and just playing all at once.
Yeah.
Like, I can't explain it. Like, I've tried to learn it so many times, and maybe if I played it ridiculously slow, I could hit every note. Yeah. But it's just, I don't know, like, he's just amazing. And I remember, like, Racer X was kind of grouped into that, like, Gamma Ray, Symphony X, Dream Theater, Racer X, like, groups of bands. But I honestly think he's better than all of that.
I do think, you know, you could replace Buckethead maybe as my favorite. But I think the best in the world is not CM Punk. It's Paul Gilbert. Here's the thing that's funny, too, is that when in the late 80s... So Paul Gilbert was teaching at the Guitar Institute of Technology when he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
Because he was so fucking good.
Yep.
And also in the late 80s, probably just before Mr. Big broke it, between Mr. Big and Racer X, he gave guitar lessons to Buckethead.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, and that's why they're very similar. They're also both... I met Paul Gilbert. He's not super tall, but I remember, like, looking at his hand.
His long fingers.
His pinky is bigger than any finger on my body. His pinky.
Yeah.
Like, huge hands. Yeah. Probably, I've always heard stories that he's a dick. I meet him, I got... My buddy, thankfully, when they came in, like, 2011, Mr. Big, Pat Torpey was still alive with them. It was awesome to see it. When I met him, like, there was only a few of us. Mr. Big's big around here because of Billy Sheehan from Buffalo,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
So there's a few people. Everyone, like, Billy's seen a lot of friends. It was like a VIP pass. So Paul comes out, and I, like, attack him right away to sign things. And I expect him to mosey on, and I was just like, you know, dude, you're my favorite. I think you're the best. Blah, blah, blah. You changed my perception on guitar. Mm-hmm. And he talked to me for like 5 minutes, and this dude was talking to me, asking me about my setups, what I play, the music I play. Like, who does that?
Yeah.
And that just, like, made a big impact on my life. So, yes, Paul Gilbert, I gush enough about him, but I do want you to cut something in.
Yeah.
The guitar solo from the song, I can't remember, The Curse of the Castle Dragon, something like that. It's like the second song on his first solo album. We'll make sure you get there. It is just, It's not insanely shreddy, but it's definitely shreddy, and it's very soulful. I like both.
Okay.
And that's why, like, Yngwie gets pushed a little back. Because, yes, Yngwie, he's not much faster than Yngwie.
Yeah.
But he's a little lax on the soul. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's part of it.
And, neither of us mentioned Steve Vai.
I mentioned it, but he's just never one of my top guys.
He's cool.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he just relies too much on gimmicks.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
laser
weird,
fingers and the
weird noises and like Tom Morello, I don't think is a good guitar player. He's super gimmicky. Mm-hmm. And like Steve Vai's kind of like a better version of that.
I got you. Yeah.
But he's fantastic. Funny story, the greatest version of Shy Boy is with Steve Vai.
Yeah.
And they do it with Paul Gilbert.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'll take the Steve Vai version any day because that is the best I've ever, other than For the Love of God. Mm-hmm. Shy Boy with David Lee Roth is
a great song.
Fantastic.
It's a great song.
Kills it on that song.
Well, before I give you my number one, I do have one more honorable mention that I forgot, which is Ramon.
Me?
Yeah, you. Ramon Sermon from Wednesday 13.
Oh, gotta get the Wednesday drop.
I mean, he's super creative. Like, to just be spooky and shit like that, but he could shred too.
Yeah.
And he was in the Murder Dolls also, and he was also in Gunfire 76, which was like the sleaze rock version, and the solos on that record are badass. So, like, he can do it all, and I saw him do the, the acoustic show or whatever, and he was doing cool solos on the acoustic, and right then and there I was like, this dude is criminally underrated right now. But, do you know who my number one is? Do you have a guess?
I'm shocked right now, because I don't know where you're going. All your marks are already out there, I feel. I'm going to say... You're going to go with, like, somebody lame, like Johnny Resnick or something.
No, it's not Johnny Resnick.
Yeah. It's not going to be him. I was just going to say your dad.
No. So my number one is Vito Bratta.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I'm just, like, so into him lately that I just, like, I can't stop listening to White Lion. I can't. First of all, Vito, for that time period, I think was right up there with Eddie Van Halen. I really do. Like,
This will get a heat, but he was better.
Vito?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think Vito was better than George Lynch. I think he was better than Warren, CeCe. Like, Vito is fucking phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Thank you for not saying Paul Gilbert.
No.
We might have fought.
He smokes Slash. Like, I think that Vito is just, hands down, if you haven't listened to Vito, I mean, and I'm not even talking about just the shredding stuff. Like, he puts the best solos, like, in these songs that they just fit perfectly. Like,
well, Robbie, the guitar solo from When the Children Cry is like, okay.
Yeah, okay. Listen to Hungry. Listen to, even Wait.
Listen to Lady of the Valley and just die.
I mean,
that's it. That blew, because I never heard that song till we did the review. And I remember listening to the album, and I can distinctly remember I'm sitting in my recliner, I'm playing some kind of video game, and I have the music playing. And that solo came in, and I'm like, I paused the fucking video game. I'm like, what is this song?
Yeah.
Like, I had to look on my phone and be like, what the hell is this?
I think it's a shame that Vito didn't want to be back in White Lion when they had their resurgence in 2005 at the Bang Your Head Festival. I think it's a shame that they're not going to put out anything else. But, I mean, there's rumors flying that he's, like, got some kind of hand injury and he can't even play anymore. But that's never been confirmed by anyone, including him. But we do know that him and Mike Tramp are saying that they won't play together anymore. I think that's an injustice to music.
Hey, if George Lynch and Don Dokken can get over it.
Apparently they patched everything up. They're just not playing together. And that's the thing that blows my mind, because, like, Vito, like, I think White Lion, had they broke, like, 2 or 3 years sooner, would have been the biggest fucking thing.
Well, here's the problem, I think, with them getting together. I don't think nobody would give a shit. Because on a grand scale.
I mean...
Because even, like, Dokken, like, people barely give a shit.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And Dokken's bigger than White Lion.
I guess for me being like, well, maybe you don't remember, but I was a White Lion fan, like, young.
No, you had White Lion, I remember. I just never gave him the chance. Because I only know When the Children Cry. And that song is just rough.
So I discovered White Lion because my dad used to have cases of cassettes.
I remember you had that cassette.
And I flipped it open, and I pulled out Pride, and was just like, this is cool. And I, like, went to my dad and was like, can I have this? I didn't even listen to it yet. And he was like, I don't give a shit. So I grabbed it, popped it in, and was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. And ever since then, I was like, I love this band. So I have, like, everything they've released, and I do think it's a shame that Vito doesn't do it anymore, but he is, hands down, I honestly think he was better than Van Halen. I really do.
I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, culturally, no.
Right.
So it's just like, it goes either way. But when it comes to technicality, the 3 best guitar players from the 80s, and this is a good argumentative point for people.
Yeah.
If your boy Mitch LaFon wants to come in, that's fine.
Yeah.
he's going to say Richie Sambora, a bunch of Canadian people.
Yeah.
But I love Mitch LaFon, and that was a great interview, and I hope he does come on with us to discuss. He can take a joke. I know
He can. Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a great
And
guy.
I've been listening to Mitch LaFon a long time.
Yeah, me too.
He used to be on. He was one of the original members of Three Sides of the Coin.
Yes.
So I've listened to him a long time. So I'm a fan of Mitch. Probably the three most technically proficient '80s guitar players are Paul Gilbert, Nuno Bettencourt, and Vito.
I agree. I totally agree.
It's hard to. I mean, in Ingve, you got to put Ingve there too.
Well, you may be able to toss George Lynch in there. Maybe
he's not on their level,
but I don't think
of technicality. He's not on their level.
I think that George was just so fast, maybe,
but not compared to those guys.
Right,
it's just a whole different level. I love George Lynch.
I do too. I think
George Lynch is like there's like tiers. Like George Lynch is like the second tier.
Yeah.
He's like the lead of that second tier of like, I'm not a virtuoso, but I'm pretty goddamn close.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like that's where you get Warren and George Lynch and Oz Fox. Like, they're like almost there.
Yeah.
They're not on that next level when it comes to it. It's just like, and that's okay. It's okay to be the fourth best guitar player of the 80s.
Oh my God, in a decade where everybody was amazing, like, if your name is even in the conversation.
Oh boy, I didn't say Slash. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble.
I like Slash, but I also don't like Slash as much as all the other guys that we're mentioning. He wasn't even in my honorable mentions.
No, he's fine. He's very. One thing about him is very soulful.
Yeah,
and when he lets it loose, he lets it like. Even though it's kind of cliche, but like "Sweet Child of Mine" is a fantastic guitar solo.
Yeah,
because he's got the soul and he lets it go. Same thing with like.
November Rain,
and same thing with like one of my favorite songs from them is like not Civil War, which is I do like Civil War.
Yeah,
and he rips it in that. So I saw a great version of Civil War acoustic. The only time he's ever did it, Slash and Miles Kennedy.
Oh, that's cool.
They did. Yeah. Oh my God, it was so good.
Miles Kennedy's great,
so good. But Don't Cry. That's the song.
Oh yeah.
He lets that rip a little bit and very soulful. So like I give Slash to me is AEW. Everyone's going to push him in your face like he's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And he's not. And at first I always have the feel to be like, oh, get this out of my face. It's not the greatest thing in the world. And and that's how it is. And like I saw Slash and Richard Fortus and like I was kind of a Slash hater, but after that show, like he killed it.
Yeah.
He was really good and Richard Fortus was good and tell you the truth, Axl Rose blew me away. Like, I've shit on him a long time.
I got to tell you, I saw Axl with DJ Ashba, like I was saying, with that version of Guns N' Roses, and even then, he was fantastic. Yeah. And I was like, man, and you know what? Everybody was like talking shit, and they're like, he doesn't sound good anymore. He's not going to, come on stage on time. He came out early. They started the show 5 minutes early. And he just ripped it, man. But anyways, like...
And I gave Axl Rose, I remember something, I don't know who, listed the greatest rock singers of all time. Some kind of list. Mm-hmm. And Axl Rose was number one. Now, I would have lost my mind. Axl Rose responded to that tweet or whatever. It was like, no.
Did he really?
Absolutely not. It should be Freddie Mercury.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Good for Axl.
So, like, I was like, all right, props to that.
Yeah. I mean, he's changed a lot since back in the day.
So, like, I used to give him a lot of shit. And I used to give Slash a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But I realized it's like, I don't hate them. I hate their fans almost. And it's kind of the same thing with, like, AEW.
Yeah.
And I gotta, like, and I'm learning to separate it.
Yeah.
And now that I'm learning to separate it, I can appreciate things more. And that's my problem.
Honorable mention, too, Tracy Guns was always good. I think he's underrated.
Yeah.
He writes some cool shit. Because we're not just talking about soloing here. We're talking about guitar players.
Riffage, yeah.
Like, Tracy Guns writes some cool shit.
It was hard for me to not include one of the dudes from Iron Maiden, because they're such a big influence on me. But they became a bigger influence on me later in life.
Okay.
Because I really actually didn't get into Iron Maiden until, like, my 20s.
Yeah.
Like, I liked them.
Yeah.
But, like, their Iron Maiden stuff in the 2000s is my favorite stuff. 2004, 2006, like, that's my favorite stuff from them. So, like... Obviously, I love the old stuff, but like that's why they didn't make my list.
Well, are you surprised at my number one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't think of that one.
No, I wouldn't think he would have been your number one. I probably thought going into it might have been CeCe or Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
Mine was easy. I've been very vocal about mine.
Well, now we have to do a 5 and 5 frontman.
I'm always down. Robbie Vegas, Chaz Stanley.
There's 2 right there. We only got 3 left.
That better be on your list.
Those are the crossovers.
Who was the first frontman you ever had in a band?
You.
That's right, bitch.
Who was the second one I ever had in a band?
You.
Me.
Who was the only person I ever took a back seat for singing?
Was it me?
Yeah.
Was it really?
Well,
I was the only one?
Other than a cover band.
Oh, okay.
But like
Fuck cover bands.
Yeah, a traditional,
Yeah.
like, original band. You're the only person I ever seconded.
Nice.
Bitch.
They got the high five. They heard it.
Yeah, bitch. Back with our bass player, country music superstar Eric Van Houten.
Yeah, that's right. When we just handed him a bass and said, "You're going to do this fucking show,"
and now he fucking rocks Tennessee and
Yeah.
doesn't give us any love.
Nope.
Son of a bitch.
Could care less. We're not on his top 5.
No, we're not. Son of a bitch. I'm coming for you, Eric Van Houten.
So I honestly think we should do a top 5 frontmen. I really do.
Front people.
Front people.
This could be frontmen. I don't know. I love female singers, so maybe not.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
I love female singers.
I just thought of 5 female singers that I dig. So
well, we could do front men and front women.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
There you go.
That would
5
be
each
interesting.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to fade this one out with Lady of the Valley.
Ooh.
And but before we let you go, I need to remind you about Death Comes Lifting. Have you heard about this?
I heard about on this podcast about talking about toys.
So, no, Death...
Yes, you were explaining.
Yes, yes.
And actually, Davey Danger seemed like he was down.
Yeah, I think he actually went ahead and looked them up. But follow them on social media, Death Comes Lifting, and go to deathcomeslifting.com. And they have a Patreon where you can join the Lifting Dead Army. And it's fitness for the misfits. It's combining working out with punk rock and heavy metal and horror movies. And they do t-shirts that are horror movie themed, but they swap out certain sayings for like lifting and things like that. And, there's different workouts on their website that you could check out. And I gave an example. This isn't exactly what it says, but it would say like cardio to escape Camp Crystal Lake or something like that. And you can go through those workouts and, work on your cardio and stuff. So
Might want to swim, too.
might want to swim.
Yeah. Do some laps.
Lake. So check out Death Comes Lifting. They're a sponsor of the show, and they're going to be for a long time. So make sure you guys check them out. Follow us, ABAOpod, across the board, and subscribe to the show. It helps us every time there's an automatic download. It reminds you, and it helps us greatly, and give us some ratings and some reviews. So thanks for being here. What you got there?
This is new. First of all, don't freak out, but it's Natty Light. But they released these seltzers that are sour. They're awesome. I love sour.
It smells great.
Yeah, I love sour. So I love, think of like the sour Airheads or something.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this tastes like. Sorry. I mean, it's water.
Yeah, water.
Water.
Sour water.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for telling me I'm in a pinch. We need to have something like now.
Yeah, I looked through my list of like future guests and interviews, and I was like, you know what? I didn't put any down for this week, even though I have the yes, I'll do it. And
So as usual, oh shit, I got nobody. Hey, cuz.
Yep. You ready to co-host? And you were like, yeah, sure.
That's fine. I get out at 4. We got some fun things in the works though.
Yeah, we do. There's a couple, but definitely want to do the front man, front woman episode. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next week on the All Bets Rock podcast. Here's Lady of the Valley.
And the lady guides the hill. He who bears all the pressure is the one to break the spell. There's a sign that I follow. It has led me to your sleep.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.